Hi everybody. As you could tell from the title of this video, I'm talking about why I chose to be an Orthodox Jew. And part of the premise of this whole discussion is every Orthodox Jew chooses to be an Orthodox Jew. What I mean by that is a person who lives their whole life, their whole childhood, grows up in a house that's not raised with any Jewish education, let's say, and then they get older and they start asking questions and they do some investigating and they decide to become Orthodox. So they are choosing to be Orthodox Jews. And if you've been raised in a family of Orthodox Jews, you also choose whether or not you want to be an Orthodox Jew. If you don't do that, then you're not living mindfully and you're not living to the utmost. I'll say a couple of things that might be a little out there, and one of them is my firm belief that if you're an Orthodox Jew who didn't choose to be an Orthodox Jew, then you're not doing it right. The way to be an Orthodox Jew is to choose to opt in and to do it in a mindful way. I personally am hoping that my children are going to choose to be Orthodox Jews, and not because of any fear of me or anything or guilt that might be attached to not being an Orthodox Jew, but because they're going to see that as Jewish people, living a Torah observant lifestyle is the happiest, most joyous, richest, most intellectually stimulating way to live. So that's my premise that I want to start with. Rabbi Noah Weinberg talks about 3 different ways that a person might find Judaism appealing. The one is intellectual. If you love ideas and you love discussion and you love investigating and analysis, then you might find it very appealing to look more into the Torah and its commentaries and the Talmud and all the analysis that goes into that. I know for myself, that side of Judaism really appeals to me. Another reason a person might opt in to Orthodox Judaism, to Torah observant Judaism, is because of the atmosphere and the community and the people and the enjoyment factor of Judaism. You know, you might be around a wonderful family that's keeping Shabbat, and it's so beautiful because it smells delicious from the chicken soup, and the children are all clean and looking so beautiful, and the parents seem to be, happy, and the candles are on. This is another reason why someone might opt in to be an Orthodox Jew, or it could be just that initial appeal. And the third way that Rabbi Noah Weinberg talks about is someone with a very strong moral compass. They have a really strong pull towards doing the right thing, and that's really what appeals to them in the world, and that's what drives them in the world. So that person also is going to be opting into Judaism for their reason. So we've got these 3 different reasons. For me, when I was first looking into, when I was sort of tasting and seeing whether or not I wanted to do it, one thing that really compelled me was I saw that there was a lot of success that married people had when they did it within the parameters of Orthodox Judaism. So it's not because, let me tell you what it's not because of. It's not, number one, because when you're dating, Orthodox Jews don't touch each other before they get married, and they get to know each other intellectually before they get hooked emotionally, before they touch physically. So that's an amazing and awesome, structure of dating, but that's not the reason why I found marriages to be successful, in my opinion. It's also, in my opinion, not because of family purity laws. It's incredible the monthly cycle that Orthodox Jews use to come together as a married couple and be separated. And a lot of richness is found in marriage through that. But it's not my belief that that's what, for me, makes me think, wow, what a successful marriage because of Torah Judaism. It's not even because of the beautiful values that we share, where if I come home from a day that I just want to tell my husband about this annoying person who said something to me, I can't even use the name of the person because we're not allowed to speak negatively about other people. So even pillow talk has to be extremely calculated and careful. We're not allowed to speak negatively or damaging about somebody else. It's none of that. For me, the big value that makes me think that Torah Judaism is going to produce the best possible marriage is because of the value of giving. If every relationship you approach as a giver, as somebody who's going to benefit the other person, you are automatically setting your relationship up for much higher success than if you look at the relationship by the other way, with how the person makes you feel, what the other person does for you, etc., etc. So there are three types of relationships that we have in this world. There's the relationship we have with God. There's the relationship we have with ourselves. There's the relationship we have with other people. And the goal in Judaism is we want to be givers in all these relationships. It's pretty obvious how you're going to be a giver in certain things. With your children, it's one-sided. You're giving, giving, giving. With your friends, you might be a giver, the type who's just naturally more giving. But the kind of giving that I'm talking about is actually not necessarily correlated to someone who's the nurturing type. It's actually the kind of giving where you don't necessarily even see that the person's giving. You know, the other day somebody gave me beautifully baked muffins, and it comes from a house that I don't know if they are kosher or not, but I know that, you know, she was really excited to give me the muffins. And I said to her, thank you so much. And I said it with all my heart, and I meant it because it was so sweet of her. Who takes the time to make fresh muffins and deliver them to you, and they're beautiful and warm and they look amazing. So I said, thank you. I received something from somebody else, but my receiving it was in a giving way. So that's an example of how from person to person you can be a giver, even if it's not the obvious way, the obvious structure. What about with yourself? How are you going to be a giver to yourself? The answer is, if you're constantly taking from yourself, you know what that looks like? It means that you're taking from yourself your health. You're not giving yourself enough sleep. You're taking from yourself your well-being. You're not giving yourself enough calmness, enough good. You have to constantly feed yourself healthy food, good sleep, you know, talk to yourself in a positive way and speak well about yourself to others and to yourself. You have to, you know, whatever you need to be successful, whether it's going off and meditating or going and taking long walks or whatever that looks like for you, getting your nails done, that is giving. That is giving to yourself, even to your parents, where the relationship is pretty one-sided. You know, giving to your parents doesn't look like buying your father an ugly tie or buying your mother a gift card to a spa. You know, giving to your parents is when you become people who live as joyfully as you can and with as much good intent to be a good person as you possibly can. What more could you be giving your parents than that? And in that answer is how you become a giver in your relationship with God. God prescribes the way to live a good and happy life, and that's the way that you can do it, is by giving to God, by living this life of happiness and beauty and goodness and richness. Rabbi Leib Kelemen tells an incredible story that I have to share with you. It's stuck with me for many, many years. And it goes like this. A woman came to him, and she did not want to have any children. She felt like the world was one of poverty and war and just horrible, horrible things and terrible people. And why bring a child into this environment? Why make more takers in the world? He gave a great parable of a child who grows up and always wants to get good grades in order to get into an amazing college. And they work really hard through high school while their other friends are partying and having a good time, and off they are Saturday night, Thursday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, however many nights a week they party. This person, this guy, he's in his room and he's studying. He's taking the AP classes, he's on student council, he's doing the extracurriculars, and he applies to all the colleges that he can possibly think of, and he gets into Harvard. And off he goes to Harvard, and suddenly the pool of students becomes much more concentrated. Everyone's competitive, everyone's ambitious, everyone's intelligent, everyone's hardworking. He has to double down on how hard he's going to study. And he works and he works and he's up, and it's not enough now not to party. He now has to be drinking coffee because he has to be up till 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning in order to keep up with his intense schedule. And once he's completed college, so then he's going to want to go into med school. And he has worked so hard, he goes to med school, and at this point, like it's his entire life. He has no other life but just studying. He's just going to be a doctor, and all he can think of is this future ahead of him. Finally, he comes out of medical school. He puts on his coat, and he is officially a doctor, and he's about to go into his dream job working in an ER. And he walks towards the doors, and suddenly bursts out somebody and says, "You don't want to go in there. It's horrible. There's blood. There's sickness. Someone's having a heart attack. It's a nightmare in there. Don't go in." The person who's been studying his whole life to be a doctor says, "Are you crazy? You think I'm not going to go? This is my dream. You think I'm not going to go into this hospital? All I want is to be this doctor who's going to help people and save people. This is all I've ever wanted. I've worked so hard for this moment. I'm now going to walk away?" See, this person perceived the hospital, the world around him, his environment, as an opportunity for him to give. Suddenly, it's full of riches. But because the person who bursts out of the hospital bursts out feeling like this is a world where everything has to be unicorns and rainbows, so it's not going to be such a happy and joyful world. I want to end with just this wonderful lesson I got from a teacher of mine who, she actually took out the props, and I wish I had the toys to show you, but she took out this little railroad track. It's just a circle like this. And she said most people think that the world, the Jewish calendar goes like this. You start at the Jewish New Year, it's Rosh Hashanah, and then you go to Yom Kippur, and you're doing your confessions, and you're praying in synagogue, and off you go into Sukkot, and you build a little hut. And then it's Hanukkah, and you light your menorah. And then you go into Purim, and you dress up in a costume, and you give Mishloach Manot. And then you clean your house for Pesach, for Passover coming, and you have your Sidarim. And then you go on to Shavuot, where we celebrate receiving the Torah, and we have an all-nighter of learning. And then off you go back into Rosh Hashanah, into the Jewish New Year. And you repeat, and you repeat, and you repeat. Actually, that's not how we are supposed to live our lives. We are supposed to be Ba'alei Aliyah. We're supposed to be people who are trying to work our way up. The world is not this, lateral railroad track. It's supposed to be like a slinky. And every single time you're going from holiday to holiday to holiday, every single time you're going from one part of the year to the other, you're actually supposed to be in a different place than you ever were before, a uniquely elevated place every single year. That is what drew me to being an Orthodox Jew. This idea that we want to be personally growing all the time and developing ourselves and giving to others and giving to ourselves and giving to the world. This inspired way of living is the most beautiful and joyful way a person can live, in my opinion. And it's the thing that still attracts me to this day about Judaism and Torah Judaism. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye.